Colombia continues to see high rates of political and social violence, mainly against vulnerable populations like indigenous peoples who are expelled from their territories and re-victimized once they arrive in the big cities, putting their existence as a community at risk. We have more in the following report by our correspondent Hernan Tovar.
This is how more than 1,000 members of indigenous communities who arrived in Bogota because of the war in Colombia are living. Many have been living in the city for over 5 years. They continue enduring the neglect of the Colombian government. Such is the case of Maria, who lives here with 5 children and is totally uprooted.
Why do I live here in Bogota? Because my husband was tied up and killed. He was taken to the forest to be killed, and my husband is nowhere to be found to this day. Belisario Napia Achito has never showed up again. I am from the middle of Baudouc Choco, municipality of Portomelu. The armed groups left me with 5 small children, and here I have struggled ever since.
These people have been living in these conditions for 2 months, now without local and national authorities offering any kind of basic protection and care, a situation that has already taken the life of a child from these indigenous communities.
It is pitiful and sad that a baby had to die and that hundreds of other babies are at risk. There are high levels of respiratory, diarrheal, and viral health issues. And then for the Secretary of Health to finally come today, whose presence was requested from the first day. Even worse, they came but did not bring a pediatrician, when most of the children around here are under 2 years old.
These are ethnic communities that are constantly re-victimized. Hundreds of families from around 14 indigenous communities settle here in the national park, in the center of the Colombian capital, and they are demanding assistance from the state, which has not appeared, just as it has not been present in the territories where violence still persists. A few hours ago, the murder of 2 members of the Neza indigenous community was reported in the department of Cauca, where violence continues to claim victims. In the course of this year alone, there have been about 13 massacres. There is a persistence to forget and ignore all public policies in rural areas. There is no presence of the state in rural areas, and this makes for increased institutional chaos every day. And there it is, the insurgency or paramilitarism that governs, that has the control of gold mining, the control of the exploitation of forests and also drug trafficking. But there is a lack of governance by the state. Historically, indigenous communities have been persecuted, displaced and their leaders assassinated, forced to be part of the spirals of violence by particular interests that are present in their territories, without the slightest respect for their cosmogony, something that in the near future does not seem likely to change in their favor.
Hernan Tovar, Telesur, Bogotá, Colombia.